Howdy YouTube, Mike Hall here for Naps, New Age Pipe Smokers. Hope y'all are having a beautiful morning. I'm here to talk to you today about a question that gets asked very frequently, both in the New Age Pipe Smokers group and in every other pipe smoking venue I've been a part of. And that is, what is the best pipe for new pipe smokers to start with? For ease of explanation, I'm going to reduce this to 4 major categories of pipes that should cover all of the pipes that new pipe smokers are likely to come across. We'll go from the order of least expensive to most expensive, just for ease of explanation. That would be, the first category is corn cobs. The second category would be clay. The third category would be briar and other woods. And the fourth category would be meerschaum. So we'll start with corn cobs. This is a pretty generic corn cob pipe. This is actually my first pipe. It's a Missouri Meerschaum, Missouri Pride. It's got a different stem on it than the one it came with. I've chewed through quite a few of them, but gives you a general impression. A corn cob pipe like this will usually cost you about $10, and the best ones are made by the Missouri Meerschaum Company. You can buy through the Missouri Meerschaum Company at corncobpipe.com, but I find that I have slightly better luck with quality control if I go through a third-party vendor such as aristocob.com, smokingpipes.com, or thepipenook.com. The pros of corn cob pipes are obviously they're very inexpensive. I mean, they're made from a piece of corn. The bowl is an actual piece of corn that is dried for a couple years, then hollowed out, machined into shape, has a wood shank added, and a stem. They smoke very cool and dry, which is a good pro for new pipe smokers. They're definitely the easiest form of pipe to smoke. And they have a nice sweet taste to them too. It can be a little overpowering on the first bowl, but it doesn't require nearly the break-in time that briar pipes or some other types of pipes do. The only cons to the corn cobs are they are fragile. As you can see, this is a literal piece of corn, and even though it's been dried and has a hard texture like wood, if you get it wet or if you treat it badly, it will fall to pieces, and it can burn out if you get it much too hot. But overall, very good pipes. Usually a pipe like this will run you in the neighborhood of $8 to $15. $10 is a good medium to expect to spend on a corn cob pipe. There are custom ones and fancier ones that are more expensive, and little tiny mini ones that are only a couple dollars. But in general, for a first pipe, this is what you would be getting. Now, next in line, we have clay pipes. Clay pipes are the oldest type of pipe used that is still commonly smoked by most people. They're made from pipe clay, usually cast into a mold. This one has a red dye on it. Many of them are white, some are black. These are also very inexpensive, just a hair above the average corn cob in price range. Usually the average clay pipe is around $10. This one was, I believe, around $20 because it has the dye job and the wrapping on the shank, but still a very inexpensive pipe. These tend to smoke even cooler and drier than corn cobs do, and they have no taste whatsoever. All you taste is the tobacco. However, they are very, very fragile. I'm not going to do it, obviously, but you could take this pipe between your fingers and snap it like a twig with no pressure at all. One good thing about them, though, is you can clean them with fire. Just put it in a campfire when it gets too dirty. As long as you don't push it and break it, it just burns all the tar and soot out, and it's as clean as new. They very rarely ghost at all. The only way they will ghost is if you have a cake built up in it. And yeah, they're very good, inexpensive pipes. The only downside is their extreme fragility. The next type would be briar pipes. Briar pipes seem to be by far the most common pipe for people to smoke right now. This is a briar pipe. This particular one is a 7 Ellie. Briar pipes are made from briar root, which is a very, very dense root wood that is very resistant to burning. They've been in use for hundreds of years at this point. They came along after clays, probably around the same time period as corn cobs. Briar pipes take a little bit longer to break in than corn cob pipes do, and you need to build up a nice cake in them over a period of time. If you smoke between 10 and 20 bowls, a carbon cake will start to build inside of the bowl, and that makes it smoke cooler and drier. Downsides of briar pipes is that they will ghost if you smoke, strong blends out of a briar pipe and then go to smoke an aromatic or something like that. You will taste the stronger tobacco in the lighter tasting tobacco. They're also more expensive. This pipe right here, I believe, cost me around $100. You can find estate pipes online for cheaper than that. There are also artisan briar pipes and other factory-made briar pipes that go anywhere from the $200 to thousands of dollar range. And when people are looking for vintage pipes, or people looking for birth year Dunhills and things like that, you can pay thousands and thousands of dollars. But the average briar pipe is something like this. There are also basket briar pipes that have small cosmetic flaws. The drilling may be a little off, things like that you can usually get for around $30 or $40 at brick and mortar stores. And there are other briar pipe providers, such as Morgan Pipes makes a line called Morgan Bones that are unfinished pipes that are inexpensive but very good quality smokers, much better than the average basket pipe in my opinion. Yeah, the pros of briar being that it is much more durable. You don't have to worry about moisture ruining this. It does not burn out nearly as easy as a corn cob would. It's not fragile like a clay where you could just drop it and it would shatter. You can drop this and it'll be just fine. You might get a little ding in the side or something, but that's it. The only cons being it takes longer to break in. They are more difficult to smoke for beginners. It's harder to get a cool, dry smoke out of a new briar than it is out of a new corn cob, especially if you're a new smoker. But overall, these are my favorite style of pipe. Not necessarily the one I would recommend for beginners first, but we'll get back to that in a minute. Now, between briar and meerschaum, I'm going to take a minute to talk about pipes made from other woods. Briar is the most common wood, but people also use things like morta, which is a petrified bog wood, strawberry wood, pear wood. Let's see what else. There's some make pipes out of maple. Olive wood is another common one. Those are all acceptable woods. There are also pipes that are made by less reputable pipe makers and often mass produced. A lot of them are made in China. You'll find them on Amazon or eBay sometimes. They'll usually come in a little kit with some screens and other paraphernalia that you would think would be for a marijuana pipe. And most of them say they're made of ebony. They're not actually made of ebony. They're usually made of just some whatever mystery wood they could get a hold of at the time. Those are pipes that I would avoid. You generally only want to get a pipe made from any wood other than briar if it's from a pipe maker that you know is reputable and from a wood that you've done your research on. Because there are woods such as cedar that are nice and aromatic and it's a good hardwood you think would make a good pipe, but the fumes from it when you smoke it are poisonous and can give you diseases or kill you. So make sure to be careful if you're getting anything other than briar. You want to look for woods like olive wood, strawberry wood, morta, and make sure that it's from a reputable pipe maker. But in general, for beginning pipe smokers, I would recommend if you get a wooden pipe to stick to briar. Save the other woods for once you've learned a little bit more about the process. The last type of pipe we're going to talk about is meerschaum. Now, a meerschaum is it's a mineral that's found underwater only in certain regions of the world. Most of it is found in Turkey. When it's brought up from underwater, it has a consistency almost like soap. It's softish. The name meerschaum actually means sea foam, if that gives you any indication of what the material looks like when it's brought up. It is dried, cut into blocks, and then artisan pipe makers carve it into shapes. Many are in regular pipe shapes, such as the ones that I've already showed you and the kind you're familiar with. The one I have here is a figurehead carved Meerschaum that I found on eBay. I've talked to a couple pipe guys about this, showed it to a couple experts, and this is probably a 100-year-old pipe. It's got a stem made of amber. As you can see right here, this shank part of the pipe is still Meerschaum, but it is no longer white, it's turned an orangish color. That's because when you smoke out of Meerschaum, over time, the tars and other chemicals from the tobacco smoke will leach into the porous Meerschaum and turn it colors. Depending on the type of tobacco you smoke and how often will depend on how dark it colors and the shade that it colors. Meerschaum is very porous, that's why the coloring goes through it, but that also results in a really nice, cool, dry smoke. And like clays, Meerschaum pretty much doesn't ghost at all. And you can smoke bowls back to back out of it without having to worry too much about moisture. It's a very nice material. It's almost perfect for making pipes with. The only drawback to it, well, two drawbacks. One, it's very fragile, similar to clay. If I were to drop this pipe, it would shatter into a million pieces. And that would be a shame. The other drawback is it's fairly expensive. If you have a Briar pipe and a Meerschaum pipe of the same shape, same quality, and everything, the Meerschaum pipe will most likely be the more expensive of the two, simply because the material is harder to get. And I believe there's a law against them exporting raw Meerschaum from Turkey. It has to be at least carved into the rough shape of a pipe bowl. And that's to prevent the pipe carvers in Turkey from losing business because all their Meerschaum's been shipped away to other parts of the world. So those are the main types of pipes. So what's the answer? What's the best type of pipe for a new pipe smoker? I can't really say there is a perfect answer to that because everybody's different. Now, if I had to give my recommendation, I would say that the best overall pipe for a new pipe smoker to go with would be a corn cob. For one, they're very inexpensive. So if you try it and you decide that pipe smoking is not for you, you're only out $10 or whatever, and whatever you spend on tobacco. Not out more than that like you would be if you bought a Briar or a Meerschaum pipe. They're not as fragile as clay pipes, which have many of the same, clay pipes have many of the same pros as corncob pipes do, but they're very fragile. You could buy one of these and break it on your first bowl, and that's disappointing and frustrating and could lead somebody to say, well, hell with this, I don't even want to try. Also, corncob pipes, I would recommend getting a couple of them because they're so cheap. And if you get one you don't like, then you can try a different one and you're not out so much money. They're also very easy to smoke. Out of all the types of pipes I've listed, a corn cob is the most likely to give a new pipe smoker a cool, satisfying smoke, as opposed to a Briar or a Meerschaum or even a clay. They're also pretty readily available. Most pipe smoking sites have a huge selection. Like I said, you can go to any of the sites I mentioned before and find yourself a decent corn cob. Now, if you do decide to go with a different sort of pipe to start with, such as a Briar pipe, if you decide to get a Briar, because most people like the look of them, some people don't like the look of corn cobs, but if you decide to go with a Briar, I would spend the extra few dollars. Instead of getting a cheap Briar basket pipe, I would spend the extra money and get a Morgan Bones or a Rossi or a Savinelli. They're factory pipes that are relatively inexpensive. You should be able to get any of a selection of those for $100 or less, and the Morgan Bones are more like 40 or 50. But they will smoke much better than a Briar basket pipe does. Some of my first pipes were Briar basket pipes, and I had a few that were really nice, but I've also spent money on a few that were terrible smokers because the drilling was off, or they just didn't fit my face correctly, or any number of reasons. So you're taking more of a risk with a briar pipe, but the risk will actually be less if you spend a few extra dollars and get something decent rather than a random basket pipe from brick and mortar. But I have to say, overall, my top recommendation is a corn cob. Anyway, that's it. Thanks you guys for watching. I hope you enjoyed the video, and I hope this was helpful. I'll see y'all later.